Have you ever fallen asleep with the television on, only for you to wake up in the middle of the night to the sounds of a weird bump? Or even a creepy looking ghost simply staring back at you? When no one is awake to see your show, what would you wear? In this video, we'll be diving into the absurd world of late night Adult Swim. And I'm Sir Chris. I explore the internet and I'll make videos about it. Let's go. Let's start with the beginning. With the evolution of television broadcasting, it was a battle to see who can maintain the most viewership for longer, the same applying to cartoon channels, and there's no better example nowadays than Cartoon Network. Cartoon Network needs no introduction because it was part of everyone's childhood. However, there's a side of Cartoon Network that has traumatized children who were curious enough to stay up past their bedtime. On September 2nd of 2001, Adult Swim was introduced as a programming block on Cartoon Network, between 9 PM to 6 AM. As the name already spoils it, this programming block was not meant for children, with shows that were controversial such as Family Guy and Futurama, after these two were banned from Fox, or Cowboy Bebop and Aqua Teen Hunger Force. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. According to spectators, Adult Swim would start tame, but as the night went on, it would get weirder and weirder. Shows with weird quality, even shows that seemed like a fever dream, and commercials that were not even real. This weird and experimental part of Adult Swim, although cool and different from other television stations, it ended up traumatizing some viewers. In a good way. A way that you'll never forget. During commercial breaks, Adult Swim would put bumps. A small transition between the programming to the commercials, and vice versa. In which the most memorable and eerie of them were the Don't Die, where we can see two children craved in a decaying wall, while above it says Don't Die, Halloween Stunt, where a person disguised as a ghost appears and simply stares at you. This one being a Halloween special, Demonic Confession, which is a message where they confirmed they were Satanists and part of the Illuminati, this obviously being a joke. Or was it? Face, where they show a robot trying to do facial expressions, Facelift, which showed an elastic face being stretched and contorted until it ends being disfigured with someone crying in the background. And now, one of my favorites, Remember, where it showed a head of an ominous deer carved in the wall with the following words: "When did you stop remembering?" This one is ominous for various reasons. First, we have to remember that this is being shown in the middle of the night with only the TV illuminating your room. Maybe we are not alone in this room. And second, what am I forgetting? What am I not remembering? Why is it so cryptic, poetic, and yet boring? And for last, we couldn't forget that Dawn Is Your Enemy, a bumper that scared children so much that it was turned into a creepypasta about a 2-minute long audio of a grotesque mass murder, an audio that was never meant to be aired. The original bumper was a sign-off bumper which was passed just before Cartoon Network resumed its broadcasting, with intention being to scare children who were still awake watching Adult Swim. Adult Swim had always this fever dream style since the very beginning, and their experiments are something that I truly appreciate. It's not common to see a channel like them. And now, we'll be moving on to what Adult Swim is very known for. Infomercials. To simply put, infomercials are commercials in which the host tries to convince viewers to buy their products by telling how life-changing they are. But what if instead of wanting to make you buy it, they gave you all the reasons not to? At 4 AM, Adult Swim would air their fake infomercials, which in total have gathered an amount of 70 million views on YouTube, shocking those who were drifting back to sleep. Broomshakalaka was the 5th infomercial made by Adult Swim, about an all-in-one broom that would save you a lot of time. The infomercial would start somewhat lighthearted and slightly awkward, with Danny, the host of the infomercial, committing some mistakes, but nothing unusual. 2 minutes deep into the infomercial, everything started to go downhill, with Danny losing one of his hands by the gardening blade included within the Broomshakalaka. Danny, instead of going to the hospital, decided to stay, while his friends pressured him to leave. Danny finally spilled the beans after losing his other hand, eventually confessing that the number of sales could revive the dead, and he wanted to revive his young daughter, and Danny would also die on the scene. When Mark freaks out and destroys the whole set, the viewers had seen enough, and started buying hundreds and hundreds of brooms, reviving Danny, Danny's daughter, and Eileen's dog. And that's it. What a mind-boggling experience. However, this was not the weirdest infomercial. If Alan Resnick is not a genius, then I don't know what he is. Live Forever As You Are Now is an infomercial that tells us about a program that promises to achieve virtual immortality. Or to put it simply, a program that puts a person's personality into an avatar to replace you when you die, generating this weird and incomplete version of yourself. with Alan's version calling himself Teddy for some reason. Ironically enough, Alan begins to explain what Uncanny Valley is, and I don't have to explain it to you, right? As this infomercial continues, we begin to notice Teddy constantly repeating the word wife, and the constant uncomfortable reaction of Alan, especially when Alan said,
"Ooh, Uncanny Valley. Your rock fell down into the Uncanny Valley. It's down here with moving corpses, and this is where your girlfriend lives, and we're gonna try to..."
with Teddy correcting him right away with the word wife, and constantly reminding Alan and embarrassing him in front of everybody by mentioning his wife. Something is missing. You see, in the beginning, Alan expressed that his idea came after the couple had an argument 2 years ago, where Alan ended up sleeping on the couch. Classic. That night, Alan had a dream with another woman, but woke up after a man shot him in the face, and here we are now. The infomercial would end with Teddy showing his supposed wife, a weird, giant ball of skin. This infomercial also had a website that apparently was discontinued, which added nothing to the series. So to wrap it up, Live Forever As You Are Now is a weird infomercial about a program that promised to store a person's image and memories forever on your computer, that was being hosted by a man who was betrayed by his own product, leaving us with the implication that he might have done something to his ex-wife, most likely killing her. Although weird, this is far from being Adult Swim's most complex infomercial. Unedited footage of a bear shows exactly what the title said for a few seconds, until it cuts to an infomercial about a nasal spray called Claradril, an alleged allergy medication that came with a huge cost, a crazy amount of side effects: dizziness, double vision, reflexive memory, dry mouth, aggression, and the list goes on. This ad starts to get darker and darker as the protagonist, Donna, drives through her neighborhood. Donna sees a murder scene and the same yellow flannel that she was wearing in the middle of the road. While inspecting it, her doppelganger appears, beats Donna, steals her car, runs her over with her own car, and takes over Donna's life. The rest of the infomercial mixes visions of the two versions of Donna: the doppelganger that was now destroying your life, while the real Donna, who barely survived, was now crawling back home. The infomercial would end with the real bloody Donna either being found by police, or either being abducted by aliens. Maybe both? I honestly see the unedited footage of a bear as an infomercial about two visions of two different users. One of them is a complete humanization of the side effects of Claradril, a hallucinogenic drug that would make their user very aggressive, and their overconsumption would slowly destroy their lives forever, making their loved ones suffer and driving its users insane. The first version of Donna, the quote-unquote normal Claradril user, was a victim of an attack done by the other version of herself, a Claradril abuser. But one of the most interesting parts is that each time we reviewed this infomercial, we begin to notice details that we didn't notice before. Donna was slowly becoming dependent on Claradril and was apparently, at the moment, suffering from the side effect of dry mouth. She was being stalked by her doppelganger from the very beginning, and this infomercial also had a weird website, which is honestly one of the coolest websites I've seen so far, but let's keep going. Exploring the website, it shows us a page about Claradril that was, again, discontinued in 2018. None of the links worked, and if we stayed long enough, a grey page with the sprite of the doppelganger appeared. At the bottom of the main page, we get the following information about Claradril. All patients being treated with Claradril should be observed for neuropsychiatric symptoms, including changes in behavior, hostility, agitation, depressed mood, and suicide-related events, including ideation, behavior, and attempted suicide. These symptoms, as well as worsening of pre-existing psychiatric illnesses and completed suicide, have been reported in some patients attempting to quit taking Claradril while taking Claradril in the post-marketing experience. If we click on the house behind the family, the name of the page would change to Take Life, and now we could explore their empty house. Weird things here and there, but it doesn't give us much information. Now the question is, who really died? Did Claradril make Donna take her own life? And was the other crime scene also related to Claradril? I'll leave that to you. Too Many Cooks is a short that took YouTube by storm, quickly becoming a cult classic, quickly gathering more than 27 million views to this day, and being one of the only videos on YouTube to have its dedicated font. Somehow this is considered an infomercial by Adult Swim, even though it isn't. Whatever. Too Many Cooks is a short that starts with an intro of a sitcom. It begins with its typical opening credits and presents the main cast of the show, but instead of ending and starting the episode, it loops over and over and over again, showing dozens of characters, the most important being Smurf, the orange cat. In the middle of these loops, the main cast begins to be stalked by this creepy old guy, but we'll get back to him in a minute. Between these loops, the show shifts from a sitcom to a crime film, to a soap opera, and later to a sci-fi show. The creepy old guy starts killing every character in different ways, and starts replacing them with himself. One of the characters even escapes the killer for a few minutes, before her name, which was actually an illness called intranitis, gives away her hiding spot. The show spirals into madness, where instead of the titles presenting the characters, it was the opposite. In the middle of the slaughter, Smarf, while bleeding out, crawls himself to the emergency button and presses it, finally allowing the loop to end, and the episode to finally begin, and the short ends. I really feel sorry for those who watched this in the middle of the night. I don't. This was actually very entertaining. And if you thought that this was the peak of the Adult Swim mountain, think again. Because Adult Swim would post another short that would become a huge ARG. This house has people in it. I'll not go super in depth in this video since I intend on making a separate video talking about it, because apparently there's hours of content, but I'll be tackling a decent amount of info in this video. This house has people in it begins with someone activating the console of AB surveillance, who after connecting, gains control of various cameras inside of a house. This house has people in it. A lot is happening at once. In the beginning everything was normal, except for the fact that the family's daughter, Madison, or also known as Subject 3 for some reason, was lying down on the kitchen floor. Everything strikes the family at once. Madison begins to sink through the kitchen floor, making Tom and Aine panic. We quickly realize that on that same day, the family was supposed to be ready to celebrate Jackson's birthday, but due to what is happening in the kitchen, that's not possible. That obviously makes Jackson sad and makes him not open the door to guests. However, the guests wait on the front lawn for some reason, probably thinking that someone will eventually open the door. With Madison now sinking further and further, the parents had to get their hands dirty. Tom, in order to help Madison, leaves the baby with the grandma who doesn't want to take care of the baby, because her favorite TV show was airing, thus letting the baby crawl to wherever she wants. Both begin to do everything they can to stop Madison from no-clipping, but they're unsuccessful. And when Madison no-clips, she disappears, and now everyone is infected, lying on the ground, sinking. This shot is not over yet. Like the other infomercials, this one also had a website that is its own can of worms, but this is where Alan Resnick left us a trail of breadcrumbs, waiting for us to pick it up, but not today. I believe that Adult Swim is one of those one-in-a-million circumstances, since there are tons of TV channels that went live to do their own thing and be creative, but sadly they didn't survive. Adult Swim wanted to be weird and entertaining at the same time, and thankfully nailed it in their own way, and that's pretty neat. Adult Swim wasn't afraid to experiment with weird and wacky programs, and also wasn't afraid to give its viewers a little spook, thus getting its reputation that it has nowadays. It was like a weird companion in the middle of the quiet night, with this being just a glimpse of the absurd world of late-night Adult Swim. If you watched the video until the end, you do think that you will enjoy this video. Thank you to all Patreon support Pawn, and you